I don't just talk about other people's stuff, I also make my own. Books in particular. To date, I have 4 books you can check out on Amazon. Operation Red Dragon: The Daikaiju Wars Part 1, Occult Mafia, Emerald of Maddox City, and the short story collection Assorted Absurdities, Tales of Kaiju Punk and Other Genres. Hop on down to the description for Amazon links to all 4 books. Enjoy whichever ones you read, and enjoy the video.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am the Omni viewer, and since I found these things, I figured I may as well do another very quick, unscripted figure review. These are the Playmates Godzilla figures I just happened to find in Target the other day, from Godzilla Singular Point, Godzilla Ultima, and Godzilla Terrestris, respectively. Now, the reason I picked these up to do a review of them is partly because of this figure. This was the last Playmates figure I reviewed. The Playmates' second attempt at Shin Godzilla. And, yeah, if you saw that review, I was not kind to it because, well, I mean, look at this thing. It looks better than the first one, sure, but overall, in terms of detail and whatnot, it is a mess. In fact, it has a problem I didn't even mention in the first video, but I've discovered in the days since, which is that this is a very unstable figure. See how easily that just fell? The reason why is because of the walking stance, as far as I can tell. Now, normally, Godzilla figures are functionally tripods, if you will, because they have the 2 feet on the ground, and then they have the tail that rests on the ground, which gives them 3 points to rest on, forming a nice little triangle for support. And that works. It's worked for just about every Godzilla. And even if they have a walking stance like this guy does, the feet are usually positioned in such a way that it doesn't really affect that balance all that much. But this guy, the back leg here is so far back that it's practically on the same point as where the tail rests. So there's really no triangle here. There's no tripod. In practice, there are only really 2 points that it's resting on rather than 3 because of how close these are. And because the feet are so narrow and the tail is rounded, he wobbles around pretty easily. And for the rest of the details on why this figure doesn't work, go watch the original video. See, this thing was such a huge step backward from what Playmates is capable of and where they'd gotten to at this point that I was honestly shocked. And, I mean, yes, it looks more like Shin Godzilla than their first attempt, but that doesn't make it a good figure, as far as I'm concerned. It just makes it a slightly better figure with flaws that are all its own. And some of you might look at it and think, oh, you just don't like this figure because you don't like Shin Godzilla. Well, to demonstrate that's not the case, here we get back to these two finally. Now, the thing is, I did not like Godzilla Singular Point by the time it reached the end. I was on board with it at first, but over time it just kept getting worse and worse, and it never recovered, which was disappointing. Still better than the Polygon trilogy, I suppose, but that doesn't make it good in its own right, much like with the Shin Godzilla figure. But as for the Playmates figures based on Ultima and Terrestris, I gotta say, they look really good. Now, again, my own feelings aside here, because these are not my favorite Godzilla designs. Ultima, I still feel he has proportional issues, though not as badly as Shin. And Terrestris looks like a piece of early concept art from when the design team was still trying to nail down a design that actually works. But even with that in mind, as figures, they are so much better than that Shin Godzilla monstrosity. They have the typical articulation. They can move their arms, they can move their legs, their tails turn where you attach them. And something worth noting as far as that while I'm on the tails. Ultima's tail, both of their tails come detached. Ultima's tail went in just fine. Terrestris' tail was a struggle. I don't know what it was, but for some reason it was a real pain and a half to get in. But once it's in, and it rotates just fine. But the real impressive thing is how good they look. I mean, I don't want to zoom in again because zooming in usually just means the camera doesn't focus, but you can see here for yourself, like, they got all the details okay, not all the details. Terrestris' spikes stop being painted randomly right about here, and his hand claws aren't painted and stuff. But other than that, I find very few issues here. The veins on Godzilla Ultima's spines look good. He has the nice gradient for his spines all the way down his tail. There are no issues with the eye painting. I mean, these guys really do look good for what they are. Again, not my favorite designs, but as representations of those designs, they work. So I honestly wonder what the heck happened with this. It had to be a fluke, or maybe there's someone in Playmates who hates Shin Godzilla even worse than I do. But with these guys, I mean, I really don't have anything bad to say about the way they function as figures, because they are good representations. Just like that, my faith in Playmates Toho line is restored. Again, the only other flaw I can really find in terms of how it all comes together is that there are a few places here, like right here especially, where Terrestris' head doesn't quite meld right into the rest of the body, and maybe that's to accommodate the rotation. Weird that all the flaws I'm finding are on Terrestris, I know, but I just don't see that many flaws with Ultima, other than this arm is maybe a little bit looser right in this area, but put it anywhere else, it's fine. So, yeah. If you like Singular Point and you like these guys in particular and feel like picking up the figures because you don't want to spend an arm and a leg on that super expensive Ultima Monster Arts figure, I would say these guys are worth it. Again, if you like Singular Point. Or maybe you just like the designs. Whatever the case, these are what the level of quality I've come to expect from Playmates since they got their act together with the Toho series. And what a relief that is. Anyway, that's all. Just wanted to share my thoughts on these guys. I promise I will get back to doing properly edited and scripted videos soon. But for now, just thought I'd leave you with an image of some Playmates Godzilla figures that actually do look good for what they are. Until such time as we meet again, this is the Omni Viewer signing off.
Congratulations, you reached the end. If you enjoyed this video, you might want to consider supporting us on Patreon. Of course, the other way to support us is to go to Amazon and check out our books, Operation Red Dragon, The Daikaiju Wars Part 1, The Occult Mafia, Emerald of Maddox City, and Assorted Absurdities, Tales of Kaiju Punk and Other Genres. Also check the description for links to DeviantArt and other platforms we operate. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.